You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 187. How long does it take to get over a breakup? Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, Breakup Coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, my beautiful brave hearts. How is everyone doing? I'm so excited about today's podcast episode. We are taking it back down to the basics. This is one of the most common questions I get in my career so far in the 5 years I've been working. I feel like it's this question, and then if there's one piece of advice, what would you give? And I have a lot of episodes actually about time and heartbreak. I'll tag some of those other podcast episodes in the show notes. But I just wanted to talk about and address the very specific question of how long does it really take to get over a breakup? And how long does it take to heal from heartbreak? And here's the thing, y'all. If you've been around for a beat, you know it's not about time. So if you are new to this podcast, this is the first one you're listening to, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And the first thing you're going to have to know is time has nothing to do with your healing. If you're anything like me, you've probably heard it's going to take half of the amount of time that you were together to get over this. Maybe you've heard it just takes time to heal, but it doesn't actually matter how long the relationship was or how long it's been since the relationship ended. If all of that mattered, it wouldn't be consistent, or actually it would be consistent among all humans, right? Like we would all have the exact same experience. But the problem is, we see people who are in 10-year-long relationships move on and feel excited about the next chapter. We find some people feeling relieved immediately after it ended. And meanwhile, if you're anything like me, right, I was in that 7-year relationship and it took me a 1.5 years to let go and drop the anger and resentment. And my ex-partner, who was in that same relationship for 7 years, moved on in a matter of weeks. And the reason we say healing just takes time is, one, it's really easy to say and fall back on. It's easy to say, hey, it's just going to take some time to heal. And we think we're doing like service by saying that. And two, we've built up a societal belief that time is what heals, right? Over time. What's actually interesting is that people are learning new information. You're gathering new information, which makes it easier to believe new stories, thoughts, and beliefs. So, for example, if you didn't get the job you first applied to, maybe you're heartbroken and sad because you're thinking, that was the job for me. That was my job. Then over time, you apply to other jobs and you get a better one. And then you allow yourself, aka you give yourself permission to believe the thought, this was the job I was always meant to have. But instead of waiting for that information to prove that you can give yourself permission to believe that thought, you could just always believe, I'm going to get the job that was meant for me, and feel that experience now and that certainty now, instead of waiting for your outside world to determine your internal reality. And this is a skill. Believing in something before you have the evidence in your life to believe it will change your life. And it applies to your breakup. Learning to believe that this is happening for you and not to you will help you create a reality of all of that happening for you internally, which will then display in your outside world. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the reason you're asking, or maybe you're Googling, how long does it take to get over a breakup? The first thing that I might see is you're Googling it, you're asking it so that you can get out of pain. Maybe you're in a lot of emotional pain right now, feeling sad, anger, devastation. That can be debilitating. It's really hard to get up out of bed when you feel like you just woke up to a nightmare. And you're at this place where you're just like, I can't feel this much longer. I can't live like this much longer. And this is going to be different for different people. But my example of this was, I'm just sick of feeling so angry and resentful. I've been feeling angry and resentful. So how long does this process really take? The second thing I see is people are asking this question because they want to make sure that and be certain that they get the outcome they thought their relationship was going to create, which I call the bigger and better life. And they want to know how long that's going to take. How long until I can get married? How long till I'll find my next relationship? How long until I have a baby and start a family? And this is really fascinating too, because time has nothing to do with those outcomes either, which will be like a lot of people try to guesstimate and they're like, okay, I'm out of this breakup. It's going to take me like 6 months to a year to get over. Then I'm going to start my new relationship, or I'm going to start dating. It's going to take me 6 months or 2 years. And they go off their past information, how long it took them to do that. And then it's going to be, 6 months to a year until I have a baby. And then we're down the road, we're 4 years later and I'm already 34 and that's going to be 38 and that's going to be terrible, all of that. And this is fascinating to me because time is simply a construct. And so what you'll learn today, which I don't want to give it away just yet, but you'll learn today how to create results regardless of time. And I have a very specific client that I'm thinking of who healed, got over her ex, and within a 6-month time frame, got pregnant, got married, and then, of course, a couple months later had her baby. And so all within 9 months, she has a baby and a marriage, and that happened a lot quicker than she had anticipated. The other reason you might be asking this question is really trying to gauge and compare and figure out, am I normal? It's just regardless of whether or not the breakup just happened or it's been forever since the breakup happened, and I'm just consistently thinking about this person, how long is this going to go on for? Am I normal in the amount of time that it's taken? And that was me about 1.5 years into my breakup with a big one that I talk about on this podcast. Again, it was 1.5 years. I was already in a new relationship. I was comparing my ex still and feeling very angry and resentful still. Is that normal? And what am I missing here? So if any of 3 of those are the reason you're here, I want you to know that it's okay that you're asking that question, that it's welcomed to ask that question. And I want you to be proud of yourself for having a question and reaching out and trying to find the answer. And the beauty is that all of those reasons, they all have the same solution. Okay? So how long does it take to get over a breakup? And the answer is, it's going to take as long as you decide it's going to take. It's going to take as long as you want it to take. And this is really great news. Okay? This means that it doesn't take time. It also means you don't have to rush the process, but I want you to know that if you're telling yourself it takes time, it's not super helpful. When we say that it feels, when we say that it takes time, it feels very outside of our control. It's something outside of us versus how long do I want this to take? How long do I want to spend time grieving? How much time do I want to gift myself for this experience? What are the phases I personally want to go through? What shifts do I want to make? What kind of shifts do I want to have at the end of this experience? And then deciding how long you want that to take. So here's the thing. To determine how long you want to take to get over this breakup, you have to be clear about what it means to be over the breakup, what it means to be over your ex. And the most standard outline of being over your ex is this: reduced desire for your ex. No longer desiring your ex as a beautiful gift you can give yourself, where I use the example of ice cream. If you don't have the desire for ice cream, if it's in the freezer, you feel indifferent. You're not worrying about, eating ice cream when you said you wouldn't. You're not worried about being in contact with the ice cream. You just simply don't have the desire for it. That's a beautiful place to be with your ex. Reduced attachment, not feeling attached to that person, not feeling like your future is required, like to have your future, your ex is required to be in it. Okay? Feeling calm, eager and excited about the future, grateful or at peace with the breakup and the relationship experience, indifference when seeing or hearing about your ex, not overly emotionally reactive, which all has to do with desire. If I had to filter it down to two things, it would be 1, emotional maturity, knowing that you're in charge of your emotions, thoughts create feelings. And 2, feeling confident in your capability to create the life you want without your ex in it and building that bigger and better life. So you've got to be clear about what that is for you. That is what I would outline being over your ex as a professional within this industry. So let's talk about steps. Y'all know me. I am very much about next steps. I don't want to talk to you about a concept without giving you a how-to. So when it comes to how long does it take to get over your breakup, we know that it doesn't take time. Time has nothing to do with it. The solution is deciding how long you want it to take, but there are some steps that you have to make before you make that decision, okay? So there are 4 steps total. Number 1, decide what it means to be over your ex, what it means to be over your breakup. Does it have anything to do with how much you're thinking about your ex? Are we wanting 0 desire, 0 attachment, letting go of anger and resentment, forgiveness, feeling at peace about the experience, everything I just talked about, getting to indifference, right? What does that mean for me? Step 2, the key to getting over your ex and creating emotional maturity and knowing you can create any result you ever want in your life is learning that thoughts create feelings. Thoughts create your desire. Ice cream is only desirable when you attach thoughts to this neutral thing of food. It's a food item, okay? And there's only desire. If we're really looking at this, ice cream is, molecules. And if it's desirable, it's because I'm describing it as such. If I'm saying ice cream is my favorite food, it's ooey gooey, just melts in my mouth, love the chocolatey chunks. We're all sitting over here being like, ice cream's so good, so desirable. But then when I describe those same molecules as it's simply sugar and milk, not as desirable. It's not as appealing to me if I'm thinking about sugar and milk being mixed up to put into my mouth. Okay? So thoughts create desire. Thoughts create attachment, including your attachment style. We feel attached to someone when we think that my life is only epic and amazing because this one person is in it. The life that we created was and is the only life I ever want. That creates a lot of attachment. My life is everything with this person in it. They are my world. They're my everything. Creates so much attachment. Instead of my life is epic and amazing with this person in it, and my life is epic and amazing without this person in it. Creating this epic sundae so that your partner is only the cherry on top. And when that cherry rolls off the sundae, if that happens, you still have your epic and amazing sundae. Okay? Thoughts create attraction. If you've ever noticed that you didn't find someone attractive in the beginning, but after you got to know them a little bit, they're now all of a sudden attractive, it's because your thoughts create attraction. Thoughts create acceptance and closure around your breakup. So the biggest thing you can do for yourself in this breakup experience is identifying what stories, what optional thoughts need to change. What am I making the breakup mean about me that's hindering my self-confidence, my relationship with myself? What creates strong desire for my ex? What thoughts are creating desire? What thoughts are creating attachment? What creates strong urges, right? To text the ex. Those urges are created by thoughts as well. And what do we need to do? What thoughts and stories do we need to change to reduce that? Thoughts, these optional sentences in our brain, is what creates so much of our reality. So step 1, decide what it means to be over your breakup. Step 2, get clear about what is creating my current situation based on my thoughts and my feelings. Step 3, where am I in the process? There's a very specific process to getting over your ex, getting over your breakup. I talk about it a lot in many different episodes here on the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast. So I'll just give you a brief summary of the Get Over Your Ex framework, right? You've got to feel your feelings. Step 1. Everyone hates this step. You've got to learn how to move through feeling your feelings, because if you can't get comfortable with discomfort, you're going to have no room to wiggle loose your desire and your attachment. If you can't get comfortable with just the urgent emotions, the difficult emotions that you're having when you're experiencing heartbreak, if you can't get comfortable with those enough to sit with them and look at the thoughts that are creating them, you're going to have no room to wiggle those thoughts loose, to question them and to look at them and explore them. Because you're going to be so panicked and hasty to try to move out of them. You know what I mean? I think about when we're reducing desire for ice cream, you're going to have a moment after dinner where your brain's going to say, okay, it's ice cream time. And you're going to say, no, remember we said we weren't. And that feeling of wanting ice cream and not giving it to yourself, that is discomfort. And you have to sit with that discomfort to look at the thoughts that you have about the ice cream that are making you want the ice cream, and then say, those thoughts aren't true. What is the whole truth? What is an alternative truth? Is it possible I'm wrong? And that takes practice. So step 1, feel your feelings. Look at those disempowering stories you have about emotions. Step 2, right, within looking at this process, the Get Over Your Ex framework, is building a relationship with yourself. This is the second pillar of really looking at, what am I making the breakup mean about me and my worthiness and my enoughness? And is that really true? Because most likely not. And getting clear about your confidence with yourself, self-trust. This is a very big module within the work that I do with my clients. Learning to build a relationship with yourself that you have your own back no matter what, and you believe that in yourself. Pillar 3 within the Get Over Your Ex framework is all about creating closure and learning to rewrite your breakup story in a way that's empowering and exciting and propels you into the next chapter. Closure does not require a conversation with your ex. I have a very specific formula on how you create that closure within yourself and really propel yourself forward with a new written story. And pillar 4 is building the bigger and better future. And to do that, the first thing you're going to have to do is look at and address the disempowering stories you have about your future. Have you done any of those things? Where are you at in that process? Right? Being clear about where am I now within that process. And you're going to have a really good idea after you've already done step 2 of looking at your thoughts and understanding what thoughts you have about desire and attachment and everything we talked about. So then step 4, decide how long you want to take to move through those phases. It's really up to you. Do I want to take 4 weeks? Do I want, 1 week for each phase of the pillars? How much practice will I get in each week? I think that's the fascinating part. Sometimes people, when they come to me for the Get Over Your Ex program that covers all of this very in depth, they're like, how much work do I need to put in? And I'm like, girl, you need to put in as much work as you want. But just notice, right? If a tennis player who's learning to play tennis practices 5 times a week, they're going to get much further along in 1 month than a tennis player who's only practicing 1 time a week. Neither of those are good or bad or right or wrong. And you don't know what their overall goal is. One might be to go to the Olympics. The other one is like, I just want to hit a ball for fun, right? but they're going to be different based off of how often they practice, not how much time it takes. It's how much practice they put in. So this is a question that's up to you of how long do I want it to take to get over my breakup? If I only want it to take a month or 2 months or 3 months or a matter of weeks, then I need to be practicing every day, multiple times a day. If I want it to take longer, that's okay too, and I don't have to practice as often. Okay? It's totally up to you. I personally suggest 3 months or less. That's how and why I created the How to Get Over Your Ex in 3 Months or Less program, right? It's a process I've helped hundreds of humans through where they get over their ex and they build that bigger and better life than the one they had with their ex all in 3 months or less. Some people move through that content and material faster, and some people take the 3 months and the guided lessons in the way that I guide them through it. Some people think that's a long time, 3 months. But for the most part, a lot of people that are in the thick of heartbreak think that's really fast. And they're almost like, ooh, is that even possible? And I remember when I first started, many people thought that that was impossible. But throughout the podcast, you've heard from so many real life heartbroken humans who didn't want the breakup in the first place. They healed from that experience. They got over their ex through the Get Over Your Ex framework and the coaching tools, and they built a life that's bigger and better than the one they had with their ex. So the proof is in the pudding. I know it can happen in 3 months or less, but it's totally up to you. All right? So in conclusion, time doesn't determine your healing. You decide how long you want it to take to get over your breakup. And all you've got to do is move through these 4 steps. You've got to, number 1, decide what over your breakup means to you. Number 2, become aware of the thoughts and the stories that are holding you back, that are creating the emotional experience that you're having right now. Number 3, where are you inside of that Get Over Your Ex framework? And number 4, simply making a decision of how long I'm going to take to get through my breakup. How often am I willing to practice within this time frame? Taking these 4 steps will get you so much closer to getting over your breakup than just waiting for time to heal your heartbreak or going no contact or any of those like little, I want to call hot topic ways of getting over your ex and getting over your breakup. And of course, I highly recommend continuing to listen to this How to Get Over Your Ex podcast. It's free. All these free resources that I provide you, you can use all of these to help you within that experience. Or using one or both of the resources I've created to help people even further when they want to take this learning on the podcast and apply it to their breakup situation. We've got the Get Over Your Ex program, which is in 3 months or less. You build that bigger and better life, you get over your ex, and you have one-to-one coaching and feedback from me about your specific situation. Or you can do the How to Get Over Your Ex 5-day training where you accomplish 5 months of healing in just 5 days. That one doesn't provide the specific feedback from me, but there are so many tangible tools that are taught within that self-paced video series. And both are great resources. Both links are going to be available to you in the show notes, but I just want you to know that I'm here to help you further if you want to take this work even further than the podcast. So thank you so much, Bravehearts, for tuning in today's episode. If you found it helpful, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast for more episodes like this. And if you found any of our episodes helpful, we'd really love a written review on the Apple Podcast app to help other heartbroken humans turn their pain into power and their heartbreak into happy. I love you, Bravehearts, so much. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.